how many of us really struggle with being open, being honest, and being seen, showing our imperfections, showing our weaknesses to everyone else? For me, this is one of the biggest things I'm going through at the moment, which is why I wanted to talk about it, because I've been thinking about it a lot lately. Starting my new business, Master Your Mind, one of the most important things is sharing my story, sharing the background, sharing why I'm here and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I've really struggled. I mean, I'll give you a little bit of background about myself. I was bulimic for 7 years. And as many of you know, having an eating disorder is probably one of the most isolating and private and secret disorders out there. So across those 7 years, I became so good at hiding it. And thinking back, I was a completely different person. I put on this act, which made the world think that I was fine. I mean, I was still doing well at work, I was still training, I was still going out every weekend. So even myself, I'd managed to convince myself that I didn't have a problem because I was so terrified of telling people what I was going through. Even though I was struggling every single day, I was so terrified. I mean, I couldn't even say the words bulimia. That took me 7 years to be able to say I have bulimia, which is mad because I just couldn't. I just was so scared of what everyone would think. Forbid I shared stuff with people, because in the back of my mind I had that little voice saying, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. So vulnerability is a really big thing for me. And I've been thinking about this, and kind of the flip side of vulnerability is actually shame. Because if we fear vulnerability, and God forbid we are vulnerable, we've got that massive shame lurking over us. The fear of what others think. This shame is connected to the fear of what others think of us, and that little I am not good enough voice. Because even in society these days, don't you think it's funny that society does not vouch for people being vulnerable? I mean, how many times has someone opened up and shared their imperfections and society has gone, oh, that's great, and, given them a boost up in life? It's really not one of the things that that's ingrained in us to be able to do naturally, which has really resonated with me because I just don't think that should be the case. So this is one of my personal missions, is to show up more, to be more open, to be more authentic, and to be vulnerable, because at the end of the day, what is the big question? I've been thinking about this. I've been going quite deep. The meaning of life, what is it? And for me, it's really all comes back to feeling connected. The times where I've felt the least connected is when I've been hiding things the most. During those 7 years of the bulimia, when at the real low points, it was when I was locking myself away, I was isolating myself, not engaging with people. And I put the two and two together and realised that not being vulnerable and not being open with people, I actually became less connected. And with that, I felt like I had less purpose in my life, less meaning, and it's actually made all my problems worse, which has taken me 7 years to find that link, but I thought that was quite interesting. Which is funny because, like I said, being vulnerable is so unnatural to us, which is why I wanted to talk about it today. Is I think really people buy people who are imperfect. I mean, everybody has their imperfections, even superheroes. Superheroes have their weaknesses. Because a lot of the time, if someone was perfect, would we actually like them more? Would we actually think more of them as a person because they've painted this picture perfect life? No. We actually seek imperfections in others without even realizing, to make us feel better about our own imperfections. So the message here is that everybody needs to show up more, speak up more, be more vulnerable, Because behind vulnerability, to be vulnerable means that we have courage. It takes a massive amount of courage to be vulnerable. And with this vulnerability, with this courage, this gives us access to so much more meaning in our lives. So for me personally, I'm going to try and do these 3 things. I'm going to show up, speak up, and be brave, be vulnerable, because with this vulnerability gives us connection, gives us meaning, gives us purpose in our lives. So there we have it. So I would really like anyone to share their experiences with me. I mean, if you've had any other times in your lives where this has happened to you, or you have any opinions or feedback, please comment below. I would really like to hear what you think about this topic.